Evening, gentlemen, and thank God it's Friday night, or at least that's when I'm shooting this. I don't know when I'll actually upload the video, but it's the Friday before Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday. It's better than Christmas. We don't have to deal with gifts, right? So, like Thanksgiving a lot. We usually have like an Indian summer. It warms up a little bit, go fish, right, during the 4-day holiday. I just acquired a new magnet that is used for mounting guns to various substrates and in various places. So I've been out here messing a bit with it. I'm going to show you what I bought, and then we're going to install it. Grab yourself a drink, a refreshment beverage of your choice, and enjoy the show. These are beauty caps to go over screws that are used to mount with. Got what is essentially a drywall screw, that length. Ones that are a little bit longer, comes with 4, but we only got 2 holes to deal with. All right, let's stick it to some guns and see what happens. Supposedly 75 pounds of force on here. That's probably true. I don't really know how. It sort of depends on how you measure that, right? And how much metal you actually have attached to the gun itself. But boy, I'll tell you what, that thing is stuck on big time. All right. The Glock, because it has the flat slide, we've got this kind of action going. That thing would take your finger off if you're not careful, right? So, yeah, you got to watch out for that. All right, so we're gonna mount that, and I've finally selected my space that I want to do it in. So, it works best if you kind of slide it off. All right, so I got a Colt here in a 380, and I'm going to. I've already cleared it. We've got no magazine. Chamber is cleared. Right, so we're good there. And let's try it on this one. While I was messing about with it a little bit, because of the round top on the slide here, you get sort of this different effect here, and it doesn't really want to stay straight. So it tends to want to rock a little bit. I mean, that's not how I'm going to mount it, but just so you know, right, it needs a flat surface in order to really do its grippy thing. So, right. You get the same effect out of the Glock and the Colt, and this side is even, more clear than this side because we don't have the slide lock on this side. All right, some pretty serious power. So I've had to sort of take all that into consideration as I do this. What I think I'm going to do though is I typically carry my Glock, right? But what I want to do is I want to have the Colt accessible on the magnet in the spot that I'm going to put it. So here goes. Let's take a look at it. So I carry the Glock in what's called condition 0 if you're not familiar with that. That means a full magazine, one in the chamber, safety off. Glock doesn't have a traditional switchable safety. It has safety features on it, but at the end of the day, the biggest safety feature that this gun has is the fact that it is in a rigid holster, right? So the trigger is completely encased within this, and that's safety feature number 1. With this magnet, it changes things a bit, and I wanted to think that through. The Colt actually has a switchable safety on it. I'm going to mount this with in condition 0. I don't want the safety on. I don't want to fuss with that. That's a whole different training matter in order to utilize this weapon at a moment's notice and to be fooling around with safeties. I don't train that way. I don't use safeties. I just don't do that because I train with my Glock because that's the weapon that I carry. So that's what I'm most familiar with. And I don't want to get surprised by another gun that has this mechanical safety on it. So that all being said, to me, it seems as though there's a little bit of an opportunity for maybe more than a little bit, an opportunity for a negligent discharge. So when I selected the spot, and I've got all kinds of spots in my shop that I could possibly put this in. This is an exterior wall here, and the gun will ultimately be mounted in a configuration something like this, so that I can wrap my hand around it and sort of use it as a lever and pry it off the magnet, because as you saw, that thing has got some serious power to it. And if I were to have a negligent discharge, it's going to head that way, right? It hit the toolbox, we've got the exterior wall, and hopefully there wouldn't be any problems with that. I think that's the smartest way to do that, at least in my circumstance. I also want it up high. I could just lay the gun in here, right? That's one way to do that, but I do a lot of stuff up in here, and I've actually cleaned this up. This thing just kind of gathers up stuff, and I do a lot of futzing up here in this area, and I don't want a loaded gun that's unholstered and available in that manner. If I magnetize it and I mount it something like this with the grip completely clear of any obstruction and use it as a lever to go like this, I think that's the way that I want to do that. Again, I tried this probably 50 different places in order to get it in the position that I thought was most useful, and I want to mirror this 45-degree bevel on the front of the toolbox. Going on the lid was also, it even raises it higher, but the lid moves, so I don't want to have to be prying against something that actually moves and try and jerk something off of a movable object. I just don't want to do that. This isn't going anywhere, so if I put that magnet, let's say halfway on the barrel, something like this, right? And if I get this at a bit of an angle, right, I can clear that pretty good, and it'll stay, and I can get it to it really, really quickly, right? So I've got my height requirement that I want, my negligent discharge risk I think has been lowered by pointing it to the exterior wall, and if this doesn't all work out, or if I'm not comfortable with this whole thing, I've got 2 tiny holes in my toolbox, or I've got a magnet that I could probably just leave in place, and a lot of times I just hang keys and stuff on there. So I like that. I think this works about the best. I just want to make it sort of look like somebody cares about it. I am going to change out the screws that it came with, because those are meant to go into like drywall or something, or wood, or something like that. I'm going to use a self-tapping. The ones that I have on hand they're a little short. I wish they weren't that short. I'll try them out. We'll see how it goes, and I think they're going to be fine, right? I get enough bite in the threads of the screw to hold this whole rig on here. If I want to close my toolbox, which is not very often, I really just don't close the lid very much. I'll just dismount the thing and I don't know, lay it down or lock it up or something like that. I've got a lockbox just behind us here for little people that show up and so forth. So it's going to be ready to rock and roll though, condition 0. So that's my goal here. We'll see how it all pans out. What I want to do is I want to come up and I want this grip fully accessible. So I got to put this thing at something like this. Now I have long fingers, right? So if I were to grab this thing, I'm just doing a little bit of alignment here and just kind of checking things. I want it to mirror the 45 degrees in the toolbox. And the way this is normally done is that you would remove the sticky backing, you'd place it and then drill your holes, and then that would finalize your installation. I can't really do that because I don't know exactly what that might look like with the accessibility to the grip, right? So I'm thinking that's getting warm, something like this. Maybe tilt this a little bit because I want it to mirror the 45 here on the toolbox. It looks about right, and it looks like somebody may have thought about what they were doing. See, the magnet is actually sticking proud of the toolbox edge here, so I'm going to pull it back. Gosh, the thing's a beast. Y'all wait a second for this commercial identification. All right, there we go. All right, so it's going to probably be mounted something like that. And you see how I have to wrap my finger here? That's probably fine. That would reduce my risk of a negligent discharge, and I'm okay with that. I think this is probably the spot that I want to mount at. All right, so now what I'm going to do is take a Sharpie and get myself at least some reference lines here, and then finish it off and then drill the holes. That'll work. Getting cold out here. I feel my fingers. Harbor Freight, piece of crap, right? It works about, oh, I don't know, 50% of the time. Oh, going lefty here. trying to get a screw in there. It's a little more problematic than you might imagine. There's one. That's self-tapping, like I said. Let's see what happens. Whoa, magnetized. I don't want to overdrive that. Well, I better remove the tape. What do you think? That's magnetized. Okay, yeah, the magnet is stuck to the box right now. Hang on a minute. God. I'm just like sticking to everything. All right, here we go. Of course, I did check to make sure that the heads on these screws were going to be below the surface so they wouldn't scratch the gun. All right, let's have a look. Yeah, that's what I want, right there. Cool, that works. Boy, that thing is tight. I'll tell you what, you go grab for a gun, your adrenaline's going to be pumping, and I don't think it's going to be all that big of a deal to get that thing off that magnet, right? Nice. That's about perfect. Right about there. Love it. Hey fellas, appreciate you watching, and I really appreciate you give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And you know, it's a simple project, but really an interesting, you know, way to you know, handle a firearm. So thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.